All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It is really good for all of us to be here. Hey, it's exciting. So this is our second annual political event here that we're having here at the King Center, and so good to see everybody. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. I want everybody to know that we have our restrooms. It's just outside the door here, just to the right. I think the ladies are straight on, and the men's restroom is right there. And we all know where the exits are. So the exit signs are right here where you came in at. But we're going to go ahead and kick this off. This is again our second annual political event. We have our 5 mayoral candidates and our 2 candidates for judgeship. And we're pleased to have every single one of you here. At some point, there's going to be a time for a Q&A. But before we get started, I do want to take just a moment to introduce all of the Juneteenth committee members that made this whole thing possible. I'm going to introduce the ones that we have that are here that I can see right now. We have Leslie Bowles that's in the back. Leslie, if you'll just wave your hand. We have John Willis. Everybody knows John. Kelly Crum. And Chief Chris Simpson. And our mayor, Daniel Mahoney. Yeah. And we're missing one person who was unable to attend tonight. His name is Kevin Brown, and he's with Spring Arbor University. So those are the 7 Juneteenth committee members that make this whole weekend possible. We've already had an event this morning, one today, we have one tomorrow, we have our grand finales on Saturday. So, but at this time, I want to take just a moment. We have some wonderful, wonderful sponsors that's been a part of this, and this year we have, as our presenting sponsor, we have Consumers Energy. So we want to thank Consumers Energy. And we have, I'm going to bring up Kyle McCree. Kyle McCree is with Consumers Energy. Kyle McCree's been with Consumers Energy a number of years, and his title is he's the Director of Community Affairs at Consumers Energy. And I just want to turn it over to Kyle and just let him have some words as our presenting sponsor. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Smoke. Anthony is a former colleague of mine before he retired from us. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle McCree. As Anthony said, I'm Director of Community Affairs. What does that mean? That means I have the pleasure of working with Mindy Bredish-Orta, who many of you know. Someone said, so what's your team? And I said, well, I have 8 Mindys on the east side of Michigan. And so we thank you for your partnership with us. My team, we talk a lot about our hometowns. Consumers is proud to serve all 68 counties in the Lower Peninsula. And wherever we're at, we'll say it's one of our hometowns. But the reality is Jackson is our hometown, truly. And all of Jackson is our hometown. But we know in past years, we maybe haven't always showed up in all of Jackson the way that all of Jackson would have wanted us to show up. And so we're trying to do a better job listening, engaging. This sponsorship this weekend is part of that. But for me, it's special for 2 reasons. One, as I grew up in a political family, I'm a political junkie. Before this current role, I was part of our lobby team in Lansing and our government affairs team. But working and growing up in a political family, I understand what it means to run for office. I understand what it means to serve in office. And I want to start by saying thank you to Mayor Mahoney for your not only 4 years as mayor, but also your time on city government before you were mayor. I recognize for you and your family what that means is a sacrifice. There's some games missed, some dance recitals missed, some birthdays missed in the service of the public. So let's give Mayor Mahoney a round of applause. The other reason this event for me is so important and personal is because of what Juneteenth means to me. Juneteenth isn't only about a celebration in Galveston, Texas in 1865. Juneteenth is also about celebrating the hope that celebration was about. It wasn't just about the end of chattel bondage and slavery. It was also about the hope for future generations. And that hope comes with a responsibility for all of us, which is engaging in civic life. And it's not just voting, but it's also showing up, it's letting your voice be heard and making sure that those who might want to represent you know what's important to you. And that's what today is all about. So I want to thank you all for being here. This is great to see the community coming out for this event. We hope you come out to the scholarship dinner tomorrow night. Hope you come out to all the festivities taking place on Saturday. So with that, I say thank you, congratulations, and happy Juneteenth. I'm going to turn it over to Chief now.
Good evening, Jackson. Good evening, Jackson.
Good evening.
we go. I have this distinct honor of introducing our panelists as well as our moderators. Now, the panelists are going to have an opportunity to speak to all of you more in depth about who they are, where they come from, and obviously what their standpoint is. I hate this microphone already. For the mayor candidates, we have Christy Davis. Derek Dobies. Shalonda Hunt. Dina Morgan. And John Wilson. For our judicial candidates, we have Nicole Hughes and George Lyons. Our two esteemed moderators come highly qualified, and I am going to read a short bio on each one of them, then they're going to take the microphone and they're going to kick things off for us. First is Sean Graney. You know Sean Graney. And if you don't know, it's Sean Graney. There we go. All right, let's get that out the way. Sean Graney is a multimedia journalist reporter for WLNS TV6. He is a native of Chicago, Illinois, and spent part of his time living in Wisconsin. Graney graduated from Northwestern University School of Journalism with a master's in sports media and broadcast journalism. Graney also graduated from DePaul University in 2023 with a bachelor's of arts in sports communication, journalism with a minor in radio, TV, and news media. Before his time at WLNS, Sean was a producer for ESPN Chicago for 2 years in the heart of downtown Chicago. During Sean's time at Northwestern, he covered Super Bowl, the NBA Draft Combine, Northwestern Athletics, and the Chicago Bears. Boo. Yeah. 2024 NFL Draft. Graney was the president and general manager of Radio DePaul Sports. Graney chose reporting as his career path because he loves connecting with people and telling meaningful stories in news and sports. Graney is always open to new ideas and looks forward to making meaningful connections in the greater Mid-Michigan community. Sean Graney. Next, we have Jessica Houston. Jessica is an engagement analyst with the Michigan Department of Treasury and adjunct instructor of communications. She is a native of Lansing, Michigan, and spent part of her time in Phoenix, Arizona before returning back to Lansing as a teen. Houston graduated from Eastern Michigan University with a bachelor's degree in public relations, a graduate certificate in academic advising, and a master's degree in communication. Before joining the Treasury, Houston spent over a decade in higher education in a variety of student support programming and leadership roles. Houston has been a Jackson resident since 2014. However, her roots go back much further as her father was born and raised here. Outside of her traditional work, she is involved in the community through Jackson Young Professionals, where she also involved on the Bright Walls team. She currently serves as on the board for a nonprofit network and Jackson Symphony Orchestra Guild. She spends her free time laughing and making memories with her husband Devontae, her son Amir, and many family and friends. Let's give them a round of applause. And I'll turn it over to our moderators for our rules and run of the show.
All right. Welcome to the 2026 Jackson Juneteenth Political Forum. How about you give you guys yourselves a round of applause? Mic check. Is this on? All right, there we go. All right, so our goal tonight is simple: to hear clear, honest answers from every candidate about the issues that matter most to the people of Jackson. Every candidate will receive equal time. We will maintain civility, personal attacks will be directed, and our time cues are final. The theme tonight is straight from the source, and elections have consequences, so let's hold that truth together. And with that, I'm going to pass it to my co-moderator, Jessica Houston.
All right, here's the fun stuff we like to talk about, the rules and regulations. You know, we're here for a good time, but we're not here for a very long time, so we like to keep things flowing, so I got to lay some ground rules for everybody. For our candidates, we're, like Sean said, we're doing equal speaking time for all. We're not going to do any interrupting of, or speaking over of each other. Address ideas, not individuals. We have moderator time cues, so if you hear us trying to wrap you up, that's not a suggestion. And no campaigning, just answer our questions. And then for the audience, please hold applause until indicated. There's going to be audience questions at the end, but they must be brief and respectful. Questions can be directed to all of our candidates, and please silence all mobile devices, and any outbursts will result in your removal.
All right, so we are going to introduce our two judicial candidates, Nicole Hughes and George Lyons.
You can kick us off, Nicole, with a brief introduction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'm Judge Nicole Hughes. I preside on the 12th District Court. The seat that I preside on is the domestic violence seat here in our community. I was appointed by Governor Whitmer earlier this year after a very grueling process of the appointments process. I'm now up for election, and I am a former domestic violence prosecutor. While I prosecuted domestic violence, I also prosecuted criminal sexual conduct and homicide. I then went on to be an assistant attorney general serving the people of the state of Michigan, where I was hand-selected to be the only assistant attorney general to serve on all lifer and commutation hearings. I worked directly with the governor's office on those, where I was able to engage with people that were incarcerated and make determinations alongside the parole board and the governor's office. I have been in Jackson County for about 10 years now. My husband and I settled here when I was in my 20s. I wish I could say he was in his 20s then too, but he certainly wasn't. But we settled here as the place that we selected to raise our family. Our boys are born and raised here. They know no other home than Jackson County, and I would be honored to continue to serving all of you on the 12th District Court. Thank you.
If I may. I'm George Lyons. A lot of you guys know me already. I've practiced law here for approximately 30 years. I've done thousands of Jackson cases representing Jacksonians. I've done everything from speeding tickets to multiple homicides, criminal sexual conduct, you name it, I've done it. I've done family law, I've done federal work, I've done state work. I've worked in the United States Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, as well as the Court of Appeals here in Lansing, Michigan. I'm married to a local Jackson girl, and she's over there looking very beautiful. We've been here, we raised our beautiful kids here in Jackson, Michigan. We have our number 4 Jackson grandchild who's going to be born in the next 2 weeks. This is my town. I love it. I came here and nobody with nothing. Jackson County gave me a life, gave me a wife, gave me a home, gave me a career. This is my opportunity to give back to Jackson, Michigan.
Okay, we'll get right to the questions. So the first question we have is kind of directly to the appointments. So one of you was appointed to this seat by the Attorney General of Michigan rather than elected by the people of Jackson County, and the other has spent years building a practice and reputation in this community courts. So to our appointed incumbent, what specific decisions have you made on the bench since your appointment that demonstrate your judicial independence from the office and the political process that placed you there?
So first, I was appointed by the governor of the state of Michigan. So I was appointed by Governor Whitmer. I am endorsed by Dana Nessel, but I wasn't appointed by Dana Nessel. Since I was appointed directly to the domestic violence seat. And that was what my communication was with the governor's office in that appointment. They told me that they would have a domestic violence seat available, and they hand-selected me because I have a career in public safety and handling domestic violence. So as a former prosecutor, as well as an assistant attorney general, the state of Michigan has already poured their resources into me. I've had the opportunity to travel the country learning best practices in intervention and prevention of domestic violence. Since joining the court, the first thing that I did was connect our court with our local resources. So right here in Jackson, we have the Aware Shelter. The Aware Shelter did not have a space within our courthouse the way they are entitled to a space. The Aware Shelter, what they were forced to do was they were helping people fill out personal protection orders in the lobby of our courthouse. That's a dangerous process for people that are applying for PPOs. That means that they have experienced some types of violence or threat of violence, and the way the court was set up was those people were sitting in the lobby exposed while filling out those petitions with what is a confidential entity, the Aware Shelter. So when I first met with the Aware Shelter, that was one of the first things that they brought to me as ways that I could help improve how our judicial system was serving the community. And I was able to get them a space by working with Sierra, our court clerk, our county clerk, to get them a space in our courthouse. And within a week of me meeting with them, the Aware Shelter now has a private, confidential space in our courthouse where they can serve our community members. And that's one of the reasons that I was selected by Governor Whitmer, because I have the expertise in serving communities in violent crimes and in domestic violence, and I know how important it is to have a strong relationship with our local entities, specifically our domestic violence shelter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm trying to keep it moving here. I'm sorry, but that was really helpful for the audience to hear. To our challenger, you've watched the court from the other side of the bench for years. What do you believe the community has been missing, and why did this opening compel you to run rather than wait for a different opportunity?
Let me just say one thing. I think it's important that we understand that the governor appoints a temporary person to sit in that seat until the people of Jackson County have the opportunity to vote on whom they want in that seat. And if you've seen me on Facebook, you've heard me say this. The governor picks who she wants, but the governor doesn't live here. She doesn't work here. She didn't marry someone from here. She didn't raise her kids here. It is the
We do
voice.
have to stick to the question. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
about
but it was. I'm just responding to what was said, but I'll move forward.
Yeah.
What I bring to the bench is that I've been poor, I've been broke, I've been a single dad with no money. I'm a high school dropout. I understand the realities of many of the people that come before the court. We're going to get in, I think, at some point into persons of low income like I was. I've been a victim of racism. I understand so many other things, and I've been doing it right here in Jackson for 30 years. I bring that perspective, that reality to the bench. I don't think anybody else on the bench can and or does or has.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go on to our next question, the case you couldn't forget, and this is actually directed at both the candidates. So district court judges handle high volumes of cases, traffic, misdemeanors, civil disputes, landlord-tenant matters, arraignments. Describe a legal matter without violating any confidentiality where the technically correct legal outcome and the just outcome felt like they were in tension. But, I guess, how did you resolve that tension, and what did it teach you about how you approach your role? Nicole, we'll start with you.
Thank you.
He said Nicole. didn't he?
Nicole.
Yes,
Nicole,
thank
we'll
you
start
so
with
much.
Nicole.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so much. This question is perfect because this is something that is what the epitome of being a judge. Our job as a judge, my job as a judge is simple. It is to follow the law and to ensure that I apply the law fairly and equally to everyone. Now, there have been many circumstances already in my courtroom where there are high emotions, high tensions, especially in domestic violence cases that are affecting families. I've had many fathers in my courtroom that are highly emotional because they have not seen their children in months. And domestic violence is present in their home. And yet they love their children, they want to see their children, and what am I to do as the judge? Now, we all know that as people come into my courtroom, they're presumed innocent until proven guilty. We have prosecutors and law enforcement for a reason. They carry that burden. Once somebody is adjudicated as guilty for something, especially if it's domestic violence, we get to work immediately. We get to work immediately to find out what is the root cause. But to get to that point, there have been times where I have to follow the law despite how heart-wrenching it can be. I have to protect families. I take that responsibility as a judge extremely seriously, and I always have. I have always focused on public safety, and I will always err on the side of protecting families and public safety. But it is.
And we'll pause it there, Nicole. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Mr. Lyons, care to answer this one?
I'll try to, and I will try to be brief. And this case happened recently. I had a young African-American, a young man who was pumping gas at night, breaking no laws. And officers saw him and just sat there and watched him. And he testified the guy broke no laws. His license appeared to be good. He ran his plates, the whole 9 yards. And he followed him still, and he decided that he didn't wait long enough before he turned out of the gas station. And the young guy was so afraid he didn't stop until he got to a well-lit place. The young boy was charged with a 5-year felony of fleeing and eluding. And let me add, when he stopped him, he had no drugs, no weapons, no nothing on him. It's called a pretextual stop, which the Supreme Court says that police can do, but it still rubs me the wrong way. I was able to litigate that and win the case so that the matter was dismissed. But it got under my crawl because I've got a young son out here who I don't want him to be the victim of that type of pretextual work being done by law enforcement. And I know that I've got the chief here, he doesn't go for that. So that stays with me and lingers with me, and I worry because I've got a black son who may have the same problem.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Lyons. We'll move on to our next question.
So this question is about the poverty rate in your docket. So the Jackson County has a poverty rate that's significantly above the state's average. A substantial portion of people who appear at the district court for evictions, for inability to pay fines and fees, misdemeanor charges, are not necessarily there because they're criminals, but it's because they're poor. What is your philosophy on the use of fines, fees, and incarceration for low-level offenses when the person before you clearly lacks the financial means to comply? And where does that judicial discretion appropriately begin and end in those situations? George, would you like to go first this time? Yeah.
America doesn't have a debtor's court. America doesn't have a devil's island. We don't punish the poor. We don't punish people who simply do not have the means to pay. But I've seen it happen. We live in a country where each and every person that comes before the bar of justice has a right to be treated with respect and to receive that measure of justice that our Constitution guarantees us, that as Americans is a part of our birthright. So yes, it is a problem. And let me repeat myself from the first question. I've been broke, I've been poor, I've been hungry, I've been a step away from being homeless. I'm a high school dropout. So I understand what it means not to have. So I think the courts have to be sensitive to that. And as I understand, there's a motto in place that's, well, our state legislation is attempting to change that so that no longer will the courts be forced to finance themselves by fines and costs being placed on persons who cannot afford it.
Thank you. Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you. I actually had an exact situation in my courtroom on point with this. Another judge had handled one of my files. It was an arraignment on failure to pay fines and costs. The woman who had failed to pay her fines and costs was a breastfeeding mother. She was a young woman, she had a baby at home, and she was breastfeeding, and she had no money. There's no way she could afford to pay this. And the other judge arraigned her and had indicated that the other judge had intended to sentence her to 45 days in jail for failure to pay her fines and costs. And immediately, these two attorneys came running down the hall to my courtroom, and they brought me the file, and I said, well, whose file is it? And they said, Judge Hughes, it's yours. And I said, okay, tell me what's going on. And they explained this breastfeeding mother with a baby at home who was sitting in the Jackson County jail and who was looking at 45 days in jail. And I said, what am I missing? What am I not understanding about this circumstance? And they said, well, as soon as we knew it was going to be 45 days, we said, hold on, we're going to request a contested hearing because we know that this is Judge Hughes's file. And I said, And what do you think I'm going to do with it? And they said, Judge Hughes, we know you. We know that you're going to do the right thing. And I said, so what am I misunderstanding here? Why is this person looking at 45 days? And they said, well, she isn't, because she's in your courtroom, and we know you're going to do the right thing. And I did. And she was immediately released because the only thing that was holding her were outdated fines and costs from over a decade prior. She came in the next day, she made her minimal payment. Mind you, that's all she could afford to pay. And that's the type of judge that I am. I meet people where they are. I don't just see numbers on paper. I don't make decisions that are don't regard where people are. I meet them where they are. And I don't put breastfeeding mothers in jail when they can't afford to pay their fines and costs. Thank you.
All right, we have a couple more questions here for our judicial candidates. We'll move on to our fourth question. The call you'd get at 11 p.m. So judges handle emergency matters, including arraignment, search warrant requests, and even personal protection orders, sometimes outside of business hours and under pressure from law enforcement. I guess walk us through your decision-making framework when a police officer is asking you to authorize something quickly. The paperwork looks routine, your instincts are to trust the request. What slows you down, and what would cause you to say no? We'll start with Mr. Lyons.
That's a huge question. Let me attempt to distill it to some point. When officers go to the court at any time of day or night, and they're making a request for a warrant, that means that there's a protection that we have that they are requesting the court allow them to circumvent. The Fourth Amendment says that we are to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures of our persons, place, and our papers. So the court has to be careful, irrespective of the time of day or night, to maintain their objectivity and to consider all the issues and all the relevant facts before they issue that warrant. Our rights cannot be abridged on a whim. They cannot be abridged because you're sleepy, and they can't be abridged because you like cops, because the cops like you. There's a reason why prosecutors work with the police. Judges don't. They are supposed to be umpires. They call balls and strikes, period. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Ms. Hughes?
It was said to me recently by a former chief assistant prosecuting attorney, and it was said so well, that the relationship between prosecutors and the police are such a delicate balance because the prosecutors don't work for the police, and the police certainly do not work for the prosecutors. They're their own checks and balances on each other, and that can be a hectic relationship to maintain. I've had the opportunity for over a decade now to review search warrants, because that's what we're talking about here. This question is about search warrants. And as a former prosecutor, the prosecutor's office that I worked for, and for the Assistant Attorney General, the prosecutors were required to review police search warrants. That's not a legal requirement. Police don't need a prosecutor's stamp of approval, but it was a built-in checks and balance on the police, and then vice versa on the prosecutors later when the police later turned around and requested charges. It's a challenging relationship, but in that work, I have reviewed thousands and thousands of search warrants, and I have said no many times. Now, as a prosecutor, my no looked different. As a prosecutor, my no looked either this doesn't work at all, or here's why it doesn't work. I've said no as a judge as well. I actually said no earlier today at about 3 p.m. And I know I'll say no again in the future. My no now looks different. My no now is not, here's how you can improve it. My no now is, there is not sufficient probable cause here.
And we'll keep it right there for time constraints as we'll wrap up with our last question.
So Michigan judges face retention elections but rarely face serious challenges or meaningful public scrutiny of their actual decisions. Most residents have no idea how a sitting judge rules on a bond, on an eviction, on plea agreements, or even on sentencing, and there's no easy way for them to find out. What would you do proactively beyond what the law requires to make your courtroom and decision-making more visible and understandable to the residents of Jackson County?
So What's unique about this election, right, is that I am the current sitting judge. My courtroom is open to the public. I've had people in this room, actually, that have come into my courtroom simply to observe. It's kind of like a free commercial almost. You get to determine if you like it before you buy it, right? So I invite all of you, please come on into my courtroom anytime. For the community, we also do have the ability to log in via Zoom, and we do that for participants in court hearings. Now, in addition to that, I have been out in the community. You name the event, I've probably been there. You name the community, I've been there. This community here, I've already gone around to every door in this neighborhood, introducing myself to community members, inviting them into my courtroom, inviting conversations about meaningful impacts or meaningful topics in our community. And I plan to continue that. My courtroom is open, we are on Zoom, and I will be at any event or community space moving forward, and I invite there to be more conversation. And even tonight, if anybody has any questions for me, please let me know. Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. Let's get one thing straight so we understand that the court, the bench belongs to the people. The judge is a servant of the people. It is important that the connection goes beyond election year. It's important that the judge reaches out, maybe monthly, maybe bi-monthly, and listens to people, looks them in the eye, hears their concerns, and maybe even their suggestions that may translate into a positive change at the court. We need to, judges need to, and it's what I would do, would be to make sure that I maintain a consistent contact with my constituency. A friend of mine years ago had a radio show called Talk to the Judge. He would answer questions. I would like to do something similar to that on my lines then, which I do on the internet now, to reach out and to listen, not to tell you much, but to listen to you, and to remind myself that as a judge, judge works for you. The people do not work for the judge. The judge can't sit so high that he can't see low. So my position is that maintaining a public image and a presence beyond the election year, beyond when I'm asking you for a vote, but to look you in the eye and listen to your concerns and your problems and your suggestions, and to take them seriously and to ensure that everyone gets their fair measure of justice.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Lyons, and we will wrap things up with closing statements, and we'll start with Ms. Hughes.
Thank you so much. So, as I mentioned when I first had the opportunity to talk tonight, this election is about domestic violence. This seat is the domestic violence seat. I was appointed for my expertise and my background in domestic violence. The idea that we should have enough domestic violence in our community to fill up an entire courtroom, that's what my docket is. It's domestic violence. I don't have OWI files, I don't have retail fraud files. Those things only come to me if somebody is already in my courtroom for domestic violence. This role that you all have the opportunity to select the appropriate candidate for is going to make the difference in so many families' lives. Whether or not we break cycles, whether or not we connect people with resources that address the underlying cause of domestic violence in their home, whether or not we address that statistically, people that grow up in homes that have domestic violence present in their homes are more likely to go on to become domestic violence victims themselves. And not only that, but are also more likely to go on to perpetuate domestic violence. Domestic violence is something that respects no boundaries. It respects nobody's front door. And it could affect any single one of us or somebody that we love. Right now, you have a hand-selected domestic violence expert. I have spent my career committed to this area of the law. And I have the opportunity to continue to serve all of you on the notion of public safety, protecting families, and allowing healing and support moving forward for decades. And I would be honored to continue to serve as your judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Mr. Lyons, your final thoughts?
I have spent 30 years serving the people of Jackson County. I've actually spent 30 years in that court. I've been through Judge LaFear, I've been through Judge Mazur, I've been through Judge Bates. I know the court, I know the rules, I know the law very well. I'm committed to Jackson County. I am committed to the people of Jackson County. I love it here. It would be an honor to become the first African American to sit in a judicial seat in Jackson County. That's not what would make me a good judge. It is the experience, it is the hard work, it is what I've done across 6 different states as well. State and federal court, I worked in everywhere from California to Atlanta, Georgia. But everything has flowed through Jackson, Michigan. This is my home. It would be an honor to continue to serve as your judge in 12th District Court.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. How about we give our judicial candidates a round of applause for their thoughts?
There will be time for audience questions for our judicial candidates, but for now we're going to go to our prepared questions for the mayoral candidates. I'm going to go through and introduce them, and then each of them will have 90 seconds to do a brief opening. So we'll go first with Christy Davis, Derek Dobies, Dina Morgan, Shalonda Hunt, and John Wilson. John, if you want to start us off with the opening statements, and I'll work my way back to Christy.
Good evening, and thank you for the invite tonight for this great event on the eve of Juneteenth. My name is John Wilson. I'm born and raised here in the city of Jackson, Michigan. I attended school at Queen and Miraculous Meadow, grade school, Newman Christie High School, graduate of Jackson Community College, which is now Jackson College. I am that old. And Western Michigan University. This isn't my first time running for Jackson Mayor. And the reason I am running for Jackson Mayor, once again in 2026, is for the most part the same reasons that I was on the general ballot in 2021 and 2023. And those 2 issues are the deplorable conditions of our neighborhood streets. 2, which I ran in both 21 and 23 also, are the street gangs. 2026, I've added 2 new issues that I think are crucial and need to be dealt with as soon as possible. Those issues are the downtown homeless encampments and the ridiculous downtown parking that we have. And I will get more into those issues if given the opportunity to do so. But again, my issues that I'm running for in 2026, 2 of the 4 are the same as 21-23, neighborhood streets, street gangs, and now we have the downtown homeless encampments, which seem to be growing, and again, the ridiculous downtown parking policy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dina K. Morgan. I am running for mayor of Jackson. I was born and raised here in Jackson, Michigan. I am the 4th generation of the Dungy family servants, a family known for service, leadership, and giving back to our community. A few weeks ago, I was walking to Muhammad's store to buy some chicken. It was just me and my thoughts, and when a group of young people, they ran across the street, and they noticed me. They started pointing and saying, "That's her, she's running for mayor, she's fighting for us." Before I knew it, they all ran over there smiling, laughing, and asking me questions and wanting photos. And in that moment, something hit me. This campaign is not about me. It's about them. It's about our young people. They're watching and they're hoping. They're looking for leaders who believe in them and who are willing to fight for a better future. And that's why I'm running. I believe every resident deserves dignity and a voice in the decisions that affect their lives. I believe the South Side deserves a grocery store it has waited for decades. I believe we need more affordable housing and better roads, stronger neighborhoods, good paying jobs, and real opportunities for our youth. As mayor, I will work every day, as I do now, to bring people together, to advocate for the resources our community deserves, and to ensure that our government is transparent, accountable, and focused on the people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shalonda?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shalonda Hunt. I am a born and raised resident of Jackson. Jackson is home. I am a proud mother of 2 daughters, graduated from Jackson Public Schools, attended Jackson Community College, currently known as Jackson College. I have worked here. I've been with the Department of Health and Human Services for the past 16 years. I worked at our Jackson County Juvenile Detention Facility for 18 years. I have had the opportunity to work with our families, at-risk, vulnerable individuals within our community. I am running for mayor because I believe that Jackson deserves a clear choice of leadership that is deeply rooted in collaboration, accountability, and a bold voice. I believe that through collaboration, we are stronger together. Jackson is at a crossroad. Can you imagine or reimagine what Jackson can be like? We cannot afford to look in our rearview mirror. We are at a crossroad where what matters most is our future. The future of the city of Jackson. I am focused primarily on where we are going, not where we've been, but actively, how can we achieve more desirable outcomes?
Thank you. Derek?
Thank you. I'm Derek Dobies. Thank you to the Juneteenth Committee for hosting us here, and excited to engage downtown this weekend. I actually remembered my last action as mayor. At the last meeting, the last action was to declare Juneteenth an official city holiday here in the city of Jackson, so excited to celebrate that tomorrow. Kyle mentioned something about hope and what Juneteenth means beyond freedom and opportunity and democracy, and remembering our history and recommitting ourselves to continuing to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. And beyond hope, I think hope also requires that we take bold actions and also focus those actions on results. That has been me in a nutshell. I served from mayor from 2017 through 2021, leading the city through the downtown revitalization, leading our community through COVID. Before that, I served on city council in the 6th Ward on the southwest side of the city. I'm currently on the JPS Board of Education, And my approach to leadership is pretty simple. It's about listening. It's why I do a lot of door-to-door talking to individuals, hosting different events. That's why I've created a lot of different boards and commissions to tap into the talent that we naturally have here and put that to use for the city. Building those relationships and then creating solutions. We've done that here. I was the first mayor to invest significant resources into the MLK Center here since the 60s. I've worked with a number of different council members that are here tonight, and I'm running for mayor because I have a track record of creating bold vision for our city. I want to continue that. I want to move that forward, grounded in the experience that I have serving our community, and make sure that we're focused on results, continuing to fix our roads, reduce our crime rates, lower costs for residents, and really make Jackson a great place for more families and businesses to want to locate.
Thank you. And Christy?
Good evening. My name is Christy Mae Davis. I was not born in Jackson. I feel like I should throw that out there. I was born in Rapid City, South Dakota. My family made a couple moves until we moved here in the late 80s. I grew up as a pastor's kid in Vandercook. I graduated from Vandercook High School in 1996. I know I'm dating myself. Then I went to Spring Arbor shortly after, graduated in 2000, and I have moved into the city in, I think it was in 2004, and I lived at Alpine Lake Apartments, bought my first house in 2006, and I am still living there on 4th Street, loving every minute of it. I've got some great neighbors in my area. I originally got involved in city council for one activity that I was wanting to do, and I got no support from the council person I spoke with, and then I got immense support from another council person. And as a regular Christy, living here, wanting to make things better, I was so excited that somebody was willing to pour into me, that I wanted to be able to pour into my community just as much as she did to me. I have a couple things that I'm focused on, just like everybody else. We definitely need to get our roads in better shape and condition. They are a very big disservice to the taxpayers. Second, I think we really need to focus big time on our youth. We've got a lot of youth crime. We need more advancement and growth for them. And then last, but surely not least, I really want to focus and zero in on accountability and equality with finances and different fees and fines that are being assessed to residents. I think there are much better things that we can do with our budget, and I think we need to really need to buckle down and get to work on a lot of things. I think Jackson's a great place, and I think we've got a lot more potential than what we've already hit. Thank you very much.
All right, we are going to get into our mayoral panel questions. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to answer. And I think we'll start with Christy, and then we'll work our way down, and then we'll just go in reverse for each question. So the first question is, the budget reveals the ballot box promise. So Jackson's general fund has real constraints, and really every administration eventually faces a moment where, it must choose between competing priorities. So name a specific city service or program that is currently funded that you would reduce or restructure to create capacity for something you've promised, and tell us exactly what you would do with those resources instead.
I would do a lot of restructuring in the community development department. I think there are a lot of fines and fees that they assess to residents that are not necessarily equal across the entire community, and they're just not helpful. Instead of making it easier for people to grow and do better and succeed, they're actually making things a lot harder. One of the biggest things I've noticed with the community development department was some issues that I had when I was on council for Ward 5 with Reed Manor. I was specifically told that they did not do inspections over there for the housing, not because it was HUD, but because the inspectors were not paid to do it. So when they inspect houses or non-occupied owners, nopers, whatever the thing is for, sorry. When they inspect those, there are fees that are assessed to the landowners and to the landlords, and they're not able to do that with Jackson Housing Commission properties because it's HUD. And I think that is a major, major disservice to our very vulnerable residents that live in those establishments.
Thank you, Christy. Derek?
Thank you. There's probably some. The extreme ownership comes to mind. The professional training program, I think, can be probably restructured and reduced. But to me, this is a kind of loaded question. We can't cut our way to progress in this community. We have to invest in ourselves. The things that we have put in place under my tenure and continued under Mayor Mahoney's tenure have actually increased the property value here in the community. It has actually grown. We have also, for the first time, seen a population increase. The way that we continue to fix our streets, continue to invest in our crime, reduce crime, put more officers on the streets is going to be by increasing our tax base, getting more residents and businesses to locate here. There's a bunch of different things that we need to do to address that, but instead of focusing on what programs, recreation to cut or whatever, I think we should be focusing on ways that we can lower costs for residents. I'm the only person up here who has voluntarily voted to lower taxes, and with the work that we did on our pension fund, the tax millage for Act 345 has actually gone down. I think that there are things that we can do to set up structures and services that will actually lower costs for residents, and that's what I'm interested in.
Thank you, Derek. Shalonda, your thoughts?
Thank you for the question. What comes to mind is the parking enforcement and the group violence intervention. Currently, we have GVI that is in place, and as we all know that there has been an uptick in the crime within our city, and because of that, I would like to see us peel back some of those layers and better understand how this GVI initiative is addressing the crime that we are experiencing. Focusing primarily on the families, the youth, as well as the law enforcement, their involvement and how they are working to mitigate the crime that currently is plaguing our community. And as far as parking enforcement, I understand that there is, the community at large is not in favor of the high cost of the citations that are implemented on them when they exceed the time allotted for that free parking. And so my goal as the next mayor is to find that sweet spot, reevaluate what decision has already been in place and see if we can extend those parking hours, because Jackson, the downtown area, is where we want our community to come to, right? And so we have a lot of small businesses, and there's entertainment down here, and because of that, we don't want to create additional barriers for our constituents to not find value in coming down here. So those are two of the things that I would like to see us reevaluate and look at how we are operating financially from those two initiatives.
Thank you for that, Shalonda, and we'll move now to Dana.
Yes, I am the founder and president of the Dungy Tree Heritage Foundation. Her mission is to help end hunger, homelessness, and generational poverty. I'm working with homeless people every day. We are connected with 211 and the Jackson Care Hub. And so I would like to see us come up with a solution regarding the homelessness downtown, in the downtown area. I would like to work with Residents in Action. That seems like a game changer if we can help them get funding and open up that community center. I would like to see us to have a safe haven for the youth and people experiencing the gun violence. They need somewhere to go when they feel that they are threatened or if their lives are in danger. And so I would like to look at, revisit the gun violence intervention program. We need more reports. We don't hear a lot from that director, the program director. And so I believe that we need a safe haven to protect, and we need more programs down here at the King Center and Booth Center, and possibly provide funding to help our youth get their driver's education paid for. So programs, protection, and a lot of community involvement. That's what we need. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dana. And wrapping things up with John.
Thank you. The 2026-2027 general fund budget that was passed by City Council in April equals $38.6 million. And that's just with just over 16 mills. With that $38.6 million general fund budget, it is projected that there will be a just under $12 million reserve fund at the end of this fiscal year. That equals out to 30%, which also equals out to 30 cents out of every one of our tax dollars, local tax dollars. That is excessive. We don't need a 30% reserve fund. We could have a 15% reserve fund and get by just fine. Now, what could we do with some of those extra reserve funds? Well, they could go to our neighborhood streets. Now, when I talk streets, I just mean neighborhood streets, because neighborhood streets are locally funded. They're not funded by the federal government or state government, such as our major streets are. So I'm focusing on neighborhood streets. We all drive neighborhood streets pretty much each and every day. And I have experienced, just with this campaign cycle, unbelievable, deplorable neighborhood streets on the east side, west side, north side, south sides.
Last thought here, John. Last thought. Finish. Last thought. Finish it. Last thought. Go ahead.
Okay, that's inexcusable. That's inexcusable. And where to possibly get money to fix our neighborhood streets? A general obligation bonding. That can be done. Currently, the city has, I don't know, I counted maybe about 11 different bonds that they are paying on right now. None of them are going towards the neighborhood streets. Those general obligation bonds, how to pay for those, principal and interest annually, right out of the general fund, right out of that reserve fund.
And we'll wrap things up right there, and we'll move on to our next question. Thank you so much, John.
So this question directly addresses the south side, where we are right now. Areas south of the railroad tracks, including the MLK corridor, have faced decades of disinvestment documented in the city's own equity research, showing tens of millions in historical losses from redlining to urban renewal. If you become mayor, what would the first structural decision, not a ribbon cutting, not a giant application that someone else filled out, would you take to make it different and directly benefit the community? And I think we can start with Shalonda this time.
The first thing that I would do is, we know that a grocery store is what's been top priority for everyone. And while we just passed this agenda item on Tuesday, I do understand that this is a need. This is an identified need in our community. So, but the first thing that I would do is ensure that we start and complete this project. It has been long discussed and it's overdue. And I want to go back to the experiences that I had growing up, attending church on the south side, where we had access to groceries and at multiple grocery stores, IGA to name one, and another one, Shop and Save. My hope is that we can bring our communities together and collectively work toward investing in refurbishing or revitalizing some of these vacant homes that are still here. Accessible and affordable housing is also a priority of our community. We talk about homelessness, and we cannot talk about that in a standalone conversation. Housing costs has become a crisis. And because of that, the south side of Jackson deserves affordable and accessible housing. When I talk about accessibility, I'm talking about individuals with disabilities, our veterans, our young people who are entrepreneurs that want to stay in the city of Jackson because they value the progress that we continue to make.
Thank you. I'll hop over to Derek.
Thank you. Yeah, I agreed with the premise of the question that the South Side has been neglected for a long time. That's why as mayor, I made it a point of my tenure to drive resources out of downtown and into the South Side. We're sitting in a building that I pushed and worked with Councilwoman Arlene Robinson, who I'm happy to have the support of in my campaign on renovating the King Center here and driving a couple $1 million of new investment into this facility. If reelected, I think we should have future plans to expand these renovations south here on top of the existing footprint of the old playground. I think that some of the other things that have been long coming for the South Side as well about the MLK Street renaming, we were able to get done working with then NAACP President Daniel Mahoney, who I'm happy to have the support of. But beyond that, creating the MLK CIA authority has putting resources into that. As you can see, anyone trying to get across MLK Street, those are real investments and real dollars that are coming into the South Side. I think we can continue that with some property acquisition and working with some developers to drive more low-mod income housing opportunities here down the corridor and out and into the neighborhoods. It's one of the reasons why I set up the Affordable Housing Development Board and put $4.5 million into that towards the end of my tenure. And those are things that are set up that also deliver real results. That authority led to the 100 Homes program and all those homes that you see going up that are getting new
Derek.
residents into the South Side.
Christy.
Thank you very much. I think we have a lot of empty lots on the South Side. I drive around there quite a bit, and I'm astonished at how much emptiness there is. I think we really need to get some developers to come in and help get some good, solid, affordable housing in there. I think one of the big things that's needed is to get input from residents specifically living in those areas. Yes, we know we need a grocery store. We know we need housing, but I don't live on the South Side. I've never lived on, well, I lived in Vandercook, but that's not the South Side of Jackson. But I want to know what the people that live right there really need and really want. I can tell you what I think we need over there all day, every day, but I want to know what the people that actually live there want. But I want to know the same thing for all the areas of Jackson. I think a good addition would be something to help recruit and train our young kids and have more opportunities, especially for first responders. Our first responders do a lot of phone call responses to calls throughout the entire year, and I think that would be a great place to really begin to grow and train our young people to give back. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll hop down to John.
Economic development. I've never been of the belief that government should pick winners and losers with private economic development, and I'm still of that belief today. Now, the city was fortunate enough to receive just over $31 million in American Rescue Plan Act funding a few years back. And much of that funding, much of that $31 million has been directed towards the south side. $4.5 million with a real estate fund, entrepreneur fund. So far, we haven't seen much of that come to fruition. Maybe once MLK Boulevard is completed, we will. I'm hopeful that we will, since the money has been allocated for that. But while that money was being allocated just for the south side, other parts of the city languished. And I'm just going to continue to harp back on those neighborhood streets, which could have used some of that ARPA funding. And it could have been spent on local neighborhood streets. But instead, it was allocated towards the MLK CIA for economic development. Now again, I'm hopeful that that money will be well spent and we will see a revitalization of the city's south side. I'm not going to place blame as to why the city's south side has been neglected for 30 years, from what we've been told. I had an uncle who had a meat store on Francis and High Street back in started by his father. It was 50s and 60s and early 70s. And that was a market, food market with fresh meats. And they operated that store for over 3 decades. And
Thank you, John. You might be able to revisit that at your closing statement.
okay.
Sorry. Dina?
Yes, I am from the South Side. I love the South Side. I represent the South Side, Ward 1. I remember walking to the store, and we used to walk to the store every day, shop and save, and it was closed. And I knew in my heart when I walked back home that something was wrong. So we know that whoever is elected as mayor will be the CEO of the MLK CIA. That means a lot to me. I will deliver that grocery store and the community will own it. My vision is to have the Southside residents own the city-owned vacant lots and build true affordable housing. It's the closest thing to reparations. We will work together, build together, and take care of ourselves. So I'm really excited about this. I believe we need legal representation. We will make history if I'm elected. We will be the first city in the world to have legal representation for the citizens. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move into our next question. When the city manager and the commission conflict. So Jackson operates under a council manager form of government, which means the mayor's formal power is more limited than residents often assume. So describe a specific scenario where you disagreed with the city manager's recommendation and walk us through exactly how you would handle it. And, you know, include what you would do if the manager refused to kind of change course as well. We'll start with Derek for this one.
Did you say me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. I love this question because I have had conflict with past city managers before, with Manager Birch, and we have had disagreements, and one of which was going back to 2017 with the non-discrimination ordinance, another long-term community priority that folks wanted to get done. It was, you know, maybe a political hot potato, but I feel very strongly that the values expressed in the non-discrimination ordinance around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and making sure that Jackson is a home for each and every one of us, no matter who you are or who you love, is something that we should work towards, is something that I work towards. The way that we got that done, despite some folks that maybe disagreed with that was to build relationships. I have worked with over 30 different elected officials, city council members, school board members, and you get things done by showing leadership, setting a bold vision, being able to express where we want to go as a community with clarity, being courageous in continuing to press forward, and building the relationships that you need to get there. So the mayor is one vote on council, but I think that you certainly have a pulpit to lead the community, to articulate our values, and we can disagree without being disagreeable, but I think I have a real record of being able to get stuff done in the city, working with different city managers, with different council members, and folks from all sorts of, all sides of the political aisle.
Thanks, Derek. And we'll move on to Shalonda.
Thank you for the question. So as sitting council member representing Ward 5, I've had the opportunity to interact consistently with the program directors and the department heads within the City Hall entity. And what I will say confidently is that crucial conversations are critical in every decision that are made, every decision that is made. We don't agree on everything, but what matters most is when you are willing to be open to differences and gain a mutual understanding about how we can move forward. So I think that as your next mayor, building rapport, establishing trust, and not being afraid, not allowing fear to cripple you and to turn a blind eye to situations will help you strengthen relationships with department heads and the city manager currently.
Thank you, Shalonda. And we'll go to John.
We have a city manager, weak mayor form of city government. The city manager works at the pleasure of our city council and mayor. They direct the city manager on what policies that they believe need to be put forth and placed into, whether it be an ordinance, city policy, whatever it may be. While we may think we have a weak mayor form of government, Mayor Mahoney has proved that wrong. Mayor Mahoney has been one of the strongest mayors that we have had. And Daniel knows that I haven't always agreed with him, but Mr. Mahoney, Mayor Mahoney, has not been a weak mayor by any means. City Manager Jonathan Green, as Jackson's next mayor, I will redirect the priorities, and I will be, hopefully, just as strong as Daniel Mahoney is as mayor today. And again, reminding the city manager that he works at the pleasure of the 7 city council members. The city council each has 1 vote, but that doesn't mean they all have to vote alike without debate. That $38.6 million budget that was just passed, there was no debate, nothing. $38.6 million, and you know how much went to local street construction? $72,000. That alone should have caused some discussion, some debate, but it did not.
Thank you, John. And we will move on now to Dina.
Can you repeat that one more time, please? The question, thank you.
Yes, so Jackson operates under a council manager form of government, which means the mayor's formal power is more limited than residents often assume. So describe a specific scenario where you disagreed with the city manager's recommendation and walk us through exactly how you would handle it, and also include what you would do if the manager refused to, kind of change course overall.
Jackson is a home rule city. The citizens do make up the rules. You know, I work for you, I work for the people. And so my goal is to deliver the will of the people. I am a certified court mediator. I handle a lot of different cases. I work with a lot of different people of all backgrounds and identities. I also have a Facebook group, We the People. And so we have a lot of people with different views, and some people want the roads fixed, some people are concerned about the public safety. I remember when the 100 Homes Project came forward, and I didn't agree with that because I believe that citizens were misled. When we talk about affordability, we're talking about probably according to, you know, rent according to your income or what have you. But I would like to have, you know, a rent-to-own project instead of a 100 homes project to prepare the people for home ownership. So that's something that I would have handled differently.
Thank you, Dina. We'll wrap things up with Christy.
Thank you so much. My time on council, I did have some conflicts with Jonathan Green, city manager, one of which I had spoken with him about some of the staff and personnel rules that are in their manual, and there were several of them that I brought up because I had had employees bring them up to me and residents, and his answer was, well, I don't really see that as a problem, but if you see something, let me know. I just kind of kept an eye on stuff, and I'm still keeping an eye on things, and I'm still making notes. If I get back in as back in on council as mayor, then I would certainly be enforcing some of those rules, and there would be some big changes. I also did press City Manager Green on extreme ownership, and I asked for the numbers and asked for the numbers and asked for the numbers, and he said he was putting somebody in charge of getting those for me, and they put it off long enough that he no longer had to respond to my requests when I was not reelected. So I would definitely learn how to get other council members on my side a little more, and go in with somebody else versus just myself. It was my first time in government, and I definitely learned a lot of really good lessons. So, thank you.
Thank you, Christy. I know all of you have talked about how it's really important to listen to the people. So with that, we want to transition to some of our audience questions to make sure everyone has a chance to be heard. So if Mr. Anthony Parker and Chief Simpson would like to come up and get the audience questions started, we'd like to transition there. And remember, these candidate questions are for all of the candidates that are up on the panel.
Got a question right here. We'll start right here.
Okay, thank you. After Tuesday night, Tuesday nights you only meet 2 times a month. How many hours are you dedicating to the citizens after the meetings are over? And how many doors will you be knocking once you get elected, or does it just end on Tuesday night? Will you follow up on work orders that have been put in? I'm just asking, like, I understand you guys the mayor gets $12,000 a year. What will you do with the $12,000? Are you going to be knocking doors or just coming in Tuesday nights, and what's your plan? Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Open to any mayor.
I'll take it. So city council is a full-time commitment. And I sit currently as the representative for Ward 5. I am consistently responding to phone calls. Had one yesterday that was approximately an hour plus. and they were just, providing me with their perspective on some of the concerns within the community. I respond to emails, I respond to phone calls, I meet people where they're at, I've met people at the coffee company, and it's not just a one and done. I'll just be very transparent with you about that. My heart is in this. I understand that the only way to understand the concerns of our constituents is to have conversations, build relationships, be open to hear what they have to say. Part of leadership is being an active listener, and that's what you will find in Shalonda Hunt as your next mayor.
Thank you. While I was on council, I spent approximately 20 to 30 hours a week reading, studying, learning, talking to people, helping constituents, and that was on top of my full-time job, and I'm a mom, so I spend as much time as needed.
To me, this is not a job, it's a work of passion. Growing up, I was in Boy Scouts, I became an Eagle Scout, and I think that outside of my day job working within the labor movement, that this is what I love to do, to figure out ways to help people, to solve problems, come up with creative solutions, and figure out how we build the coalitions, the partnerships to be able to accomplish those really big ticket things that our community hasn't been able to do, but really deserves those solutions. It's why I do what I do. I knock doors, engage with folks, have neighborhood meetings and things like that. During COVID, it was particularly difficult. I think I'll probably be the only mayor that hosted a city council meeting in the parking lot while I was sitting on the back of my truck bed. But, soliciting feedback and incorporating that is about leadership, and listening to different perspectives, figuring out ways that you can form different relationships and advance that work. It's a work of passion, and it certainly takes time and effort, but I think all of us up here are willing to do that.
I was the captain of my basketball team. I played every minute, and we won every game. I've always been a leader. I just step in to that leadership role when it's time. Justin Counts, he's here. He knows me. He worked with me. I worked myself up in sales when we helped people get jobs when they were felons and it was hard for them to gain employment. I stayed until the end. I'm going to be here. I'm up as soon as I wake up in the morning, straight away I get phone calls, I get emails. I received a phone call from a pastor today. Other organizations are reaching out to me. And so I am here for the long haul. Like I said, I started the Facebook group, We the People, and I'm on there every day. I'm multitasking. I have a dual role, a unique position. I'm also a nonprofit leader. Community service consumes my life. This is who I am, and this is what I do every day, and I enjoy it. And I look forward to connecting with the community.
Okay,
and getting them on these boards.
We'll move on.
Thank you so much.
We'll try to get
for
as many
helping out.
questions as we can. So if the panel can keep those responses to about 60 seconds would be helpful, so we can get as many questions as we can. We have a question back here.
Yes, we do. Here we go.
Yes.
John didn't get a chance to answer that one, and everyone else did, so I just wanted to
Thank you.
Great point.
equal time.
Thank you. All right. I'm pretty much retired. I do work a few hours a week, very limited, as a substitute teacher for Jackson Public Schools, mostly at Jackson High, which I enjoy thoroughly. So, as Jackson's next mayor, I will have plenty of time to be there at City Hall, working along with the department heads, going out into the field, whether it's with one of the chief's patrol officers, or just hanging out down there at the DPW, learning. Lots of learning to do. That I realize. But I can also read a budget, in which I've been reading for many, many years now, whether it be city or county. And lots of fluff in there, lots of money that can be spent on essential government services. So anyways, yes, I will have plenty of time as a mostly retired person to work a full-time job at Jackson City Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Here we go.
Good afternoon, good evening. So over the past 5 years, I've had to replace my front end on my car and the front end on my truck because of the roads. And when I go anywhere, I'm afraid I'm going to get a ticket from Chief Simpson here because I'm doing zigzags, just trying to dodge potholes. And all joking aside, that I'm serious about that. I want to know, as mayor, what are you going to do about fixing our roads, whether we can do it in the city or collaborating with the county or the state or federal? What are we going to do about that? It's to a point now where I'm afraid to even drive anywhere now, so thank you.
Okay, candidate, 60 seconds, please.
I have someone that is assisting me in getting a meeting with someone that actually, with one of our road construction crews in Jackson, and I'm wanting to see what their suggestion is, and the best way, since they're the ones that actually do the work, see what their suggestion is. Primarily, I think the first step, we need to mill down, like, I think it's 4 to 5 inches, and repave and get going there. We need to fix the roads that do not have a bunch of massive stuff underneath that needs to be redone, and then just go from there. But I'm waiting for a meeting to be able to see what their suggestion is.
Thank you.
I think we need to establish a partnership with our county officials, elected officials. There is a device, a piece of property that we have purchased for the city, and we need to train individuals to go through our neighborhood streets and repair them. I have a teenager that just got her license. I just purchased a new vehicle. And when I tell you we have to calculate the direction and the path in which we can get from A to B, B to C, C to D, it's ridiculous. Enough is enough. And so while we do not have the strongest relationship with our county elected officials, my hope is that I will be that catalyst to change, to build that relationship, to hire individuals, train individuals, teach them the skills to repair our streets so that we, every one of you sitting here in this room today, can drive on smooth roads.
Thank you.
Okay, if we have no more, we'll go question here.
I'll go.
I will propose a $1 million investment for every ward, not just the ones with political connections or influence. I will like to form a committee, fix our streets committee, and a member from every ward will serve on that committee so we can start taking action. We've been waiting on these roads to be fixed for more than 50 years. I don't know what happened to the money. And I agree with Shalonda, we need to partner with the county, state, and federal government and make sure that we deliver the will of the people. When you knock on doors, they're giving you calls, they're on Facebook, social media, they want the roads fixed. So let's get it done.
City Hall has done a fairly decent job with our major streets. And again, that's because they get federal and state funding for those. Local streets, though, general obligation bonds. And again, those general obligation bonds can be paid back out of the general fund. And City Hall can easily afford to take out bonds to fix the worst of the worst of the worst neighborhood streets and move along from there. Now, the homeowners currently who are living on these streets, City Council, past and present, including 3 City Council members who are sitting up here today, have assessed homeowners thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to have their neighborhood streets just made drivable. And it's not the homeowner's fault that their street was in the condition it was. It was misplaced priorities by our city council and city officials.
I'll say we have 156 miles of roads in the city. About 100 of those are local. The funding for our major street fund and our local street fund comes from the gas and weight tax. So when people drive less because of inflation, less money goes into those funds. When people are filling up with less gas, there's less money. Driving more fuel-efficient cars, there's less money going to that. So we do need some state help to fix that road funding formula. There's probably some people in the audience that can help with that. But I think there needs to be a couple of different solutions to not only fixing our roads, but putting us on a path to maintaining the roads that we do fix. We should be probably dedicating the 1.9 mils for public improvement totally to fixing our local streets. We should be continuing to use the marijuana licensing revenue that we do get to maintaining those streets. We probably should be exploring additional licenses to create additional tax revenue to support fixing those potholes, crack sealing, and doing that long-term maintenance. And we should be pursuing an economic development dividend so that when we increase economic development in the city, increase property value, we're contributing a large portion of that to fixing our streets.
Thank you. Thank you. Question over here.
I find that many members of the community believe that some of you are divisive, that you are untrustworthy, that in some cases are racist. How are you going to take your own selfish motivations of money, power, or political advancement and truly get this community to work together?
Is that towards the mayor candidates or everyone?
The mayoral
or
candidates.
Okay.
Anyone in particular?
Okay. Interesting question. You know, I think that people are entitled to their own opinions. I'd respectfully disagree with, I think, that categorization of folks that are up here. We are running for mayor because we believe in this city. It requires a lot of work, commitment, listening. I think that with myself, being able to work with the diversity of the individuals that I have from all walks of life, on city council, at JPS, has led me to broaden my perspective, my horizons, to be able to use the city to take care of the least among us. That's why I set up the Racial Equity Commission, drove resources down to the south side, and why where residents have expressed concern around, I led the city through George Floyd, that we set up the institutions to build that trust with our institutions so that people feel comfortable working with their government.
I want to publicly apologize if I offended anyone. I am a public servant, I am a community activist, and I'm passionate about the community I serve. So it starts here, it starts now with me. I apologize. I love everyone. I love our community, and I'm willing and ready to work together. Thank you.
I grew up in a Christian home. I've been a Christian my entire life, and I'm a very strong believer that we all need each other, and it doesn't matter what we look like. We shouldn't be divisive. We need to help each other, and we need to love each other and take care of each other. And that is my primary goal, is to take care of my neighbor. I'm sure we can all be a little divisive once in a while. We are human, but I think in the end it comes down to we just need to get to know other people. The more lived experiences that we have, the more understanding we're able to gain. I had a very closed mind on a lot of things before I
10
became
seconds.
a divorced single mom. Thank you, sir. And I have a whole new world of appreciation for being a divorced single mom living in the city. And I think you just need to take time to get to know people, especially people that do not have anything in common with you. That's the in common is being un-in-common, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is for the judge applicant or candidates. I am a landlord, and you talked about tenants coming in front of you and stuff, and I am fortunate enough not to land in the district court for evictions because I have great tenants that pay their rent, and if they have problems, they can communicate with me, and I work with them. However, I do know a lot of landlords that have had horror stories on how the court has given the tenants 90 days and not pay rent and so on and so forth. So how do you have equity and balance between the landlord and the tenant because both have needs?
If I may, I think I understand what you're saying, that oftentimes it must look as though the tenants have all the rights and the landlord has none. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Each one of you, and you heard me say this today several times, that you all deserve your measure of justice. So no, I think the judges are limited by what the statutes say they can and cannot do. But I think you are right. Number one, you have rights as a property owner, and those rights should be equally respected as those that the tenant has. And I hope that makes sense.
This is such an excellent question because as I've been out in the community meeting people, this is a question that I've heard many, many times. And the law is very clear. We only have 14 days initially. We only have 28 days maximum. The first question for a judge is whether or not there is in fact a triable issue. I have never once had a landlord-tenant case yet where there is in fact a triable issue. We know that the statute is clear, and my job, like I said earlier, is to follow the law. And I don't have discretion. There's 14 days initially, 28 days total. There's no 90-day period. That doesn't fit within the statute. Like I said, people have been coming out in the community asking that question. I have a neighbor that's a landlord as well, and he has been telling me horror stories as well. Thankfully, nobody in my courtroom is experiencing that. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
All right, next question, here.
All right, this is for the mayor candidates. Back in March, we experienced a severe fire that displaced over 63 families at Reed Manor. I want to know from each one of you, what is your plan to rebuild and restore the people from Reed Manor? And also, what are you going to do to hold Continental Management and JHC responsible?
I'll take this. I will continue to go to Jackson Housing Commission meetings, and I will continue to question the commissioners, the executive directors, the managers, anybody on those boards to make sure that they are doing their job that they were either appointed or hired to do. It is up to the Housing Commission on how they rebuild, but I think, frankly, the buildings need to be torn down, all of them. 2 of them are severely fire damaged, and 1 is damaged with mold. It's been moldy for so long, I don't really think that there's cleaning that could happen. I think we need to tear them down and start over. We need to find placements for the residents. For the meantime, good, safe placements. But Reed Manor needs to be rebuilt in separate buildings, not connected to each other, so that when something does happen, whether it is bug infestations, which they do have, they're not spreading and jumping from building to building, whether there's a fire, so it's only affecting 1 building and not 2 or 3. Justin, I don't know if you were there that night, but I was out there with a lot of the residents, and it was heartbreaking. I have witnessed 2 fires in my time working with residents in Jackson, and it was
10
absolutely
seconds. 10
horrific.
seconds. 10 seconds.
And I think, sir, I was disappointed that I only saw one employee from Reed Manor there, and I was there, I don't know, half the night. I think I finally went home around 1 or 2.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. We're coming around the end, so we're going to hold 60 seconds, 45 seconds. Be brief. We have probably 3 more questions, and we're going to bring up John Willis for the closing. So please be brief. We may not make it to everybody on every question. So
I was going to say, every panelist doesn't have to answer every single question because we're trying to wrap up.
I'd love to answer this just because I was mayor, and one of the priorities that I had was leading the RAD conversion of Reed Manor, which is attracting private capital to convert it into a long-term affordable housing development. That slowed and then ultimately delayed with some of the things that were going on at the Housing Commission, but the mayor does appoint the Housing Commission board, so I think that that can drive accountability. They should be inspected, and we should ensure that the homes that we build at Reed Manor, making sure, disagree a little bit, we should be building up. The way that that is built now is unsafe, so building up provides less access points, but we should be doing this at Chalet, at Shahan, and making sure that our public housing options are safe, affordable, and dignified.
thank you. Next question.
Can I answer? I have something to say. Right now, there's a lot going on with Jackson Housing, Chalet Terrace, and Shahana residents are they don't know what's going on. We don't know if it's going to be sold out to a private developer and if they're going to be homeless. I did lead a protest at Reed Manor. I'm passionate about what happens at Jackson Housing. I believe that it was way beyond time to replace that board. As mayor, I will replace the board. I will work with the city, the county commission, the city commissioners, and the public. They're
10
reaching out
seconds,
to me now. I spoke with 3 of them today, the residents at Reed Manor. Many of them have moved back into their apartments. We have one man that is homeless right now. They said he caused a fire. But
Last thought, Dana, please.
Yeah, we'll go there.
he is homeless and he needs help and he needs legal support.
Okay.
So thank you.
Next question.
Hi. Many people are experiencing homelessness and they're downtown because that's the closest area to resources for them. So how would you address concerns about encampments in a way that preserves their dignity, safety, and humanity while not just moving them somewhere else?
Let's go for the 2 that didn't answer the last question. So let's go with Shalonda, and then we'll go with John.
I'll begin by saying homelessness is a human crisis. Okay? So they're humans, which means they have blood flowing through their veins. While we see these encampments, excessive amounts of belongings, they're still humans. I will, as your next mayor, work with our local entities, Segway, Lifeways, Family Services and Children's Services, Interfaith Shelter, Home of New Vision, Department of Health and Human Services, et cetera. Because what we're failing to realize is that there are root causes, underlying issues that are impacting the lives of our homeless people. Not everyone chooses to be homeless. Some are there simply by circumstances. And so as your next mayor, I plan to approach them, talk to them. What are your needs? How can we leverage these resources
Final thought.
and give them a quality life?
Thank you. John.
Shalonda mentioned a multitude of nonprofit agencies that are already there, already receiving taxpayer funding to assist the homeless with their needs. Where are they? Not to mention also, you didn't mention Community Action Agency, United Way, et cetera. Yes, but where are they? Where have they been? That downtown encampment, there's 2 of them, one on the stage, there at the park and one in front of the library. Totally uncalled for. City Council should have already, after seeing these grow and growing, begin debating, discussing, and voting on a city ordinance prohibiting downtown encampments. Sure, we all have compassion and empathy for the homeless, but have some compassion and empathy for those business owners downtown and also those business patrons, whether they're going into the library or just downtown, strolling around in our nice, beautiful downtown. Those homeless encampments make it not so beautiful. They need to be taken down.
Final thought,
and
John.
those nonprofit agencies, the county government and the state government that are already tasked to take care of these homeless need to get on their job.
Thank you. Next question.
Can I say something? I do agree with John
We had
and
two
Shalonda.
people. We got to get this going for the next two questions. So we got one question here.
This question is actually for the entire panel, if everybody wants to answer it. Being that our country was actually founded as a constitutional republic and not a democracy, I'm curious if you've ever read the entire Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and if so, when was the last time you did?
Let's start with the judges.
Contrary to what Nicole just said, I was not there when they wrote it. But I think Nicole would agree that we have an ongoing daily familiarity with the Constitution because it is what drives what we do. We live with it daily, really, in law school, in the context of both practicing and I'm sure as a sitting jurist, it's something that we live with. It's a living, breathing, growing, morphing entity. So the answer to your question from myself, last time I read it, that sat down and read it completely, spent about a year. Last time I dealt with constitutional issues, like 3 hours ago. Okay.
I agree with Mr. Lyons. One of the beautiful things about being an attorney and being a judge is that not only have we read it, we have studied it. In law school and as well as attorneys throughout our career, we're daily reading cases about our constitutional rights and about your constitutional rights too. Thank you for that question.
As a political science major at Western Michigan University, I did read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights prior to attending Western Michigan and during Western Michigan. And I was there so long ago, I actually had to read it out of a textbook. And I believe that our Constitution, U.S. Constitution, I'm a strict constitutionalist. What's written is written. Thank you.
Hello. I used to have a booklet I carried in my purse, a little small booklet of the U.S. Constitution, so I love it. That's why I named the Facebook group We the People. We the people are the most 3 powerful words in the U.S. Constitution. I also study for the tenant rights for people who are experiencing homelessness. So I love it. I love the U.S. Constitution. I'm here to run as mayor and get elected so we can get our constitutional rights protected and get legal representation for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you for the question. In my partnership with the League of Women Voters, I've had the opportunity to recently take some time to look at the little mini constitution that they have provided us. But I can say with confidence that there has been situations that I've been faced with where it lended me the opportunity to go and see what the Constitution, how it supported some of those issues that we were facing. But thank you for provoking my thinking and challenging me to dig a little deeper, because I can make a public comment today and a commitment that I will read that Constitution in its entirety. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Yes, I've read the U.S. Constitution. I actually majored in political theory and constitutional democracy, so in addition to our founding documents, I've read Socrates, Plato, Locke, John Rawls, all sorts of political theory, and also engaged in different studies of our democracy. We don't have a direct democracy, but there's numbers of forms of democracy with other governmental entities across the world and how they're set up. I also, in particular to Jackson, have read through our city charter and have participated as part of a charter review process when I was on the city council. That is something that every one of you should be asking your mayor of whether they have read through the city charter and the code of ordinances, because that is what guides the city council. So, equally important.
Thank you.
In case no one was looking at my face, it's utter panic. I think I have seen the actual documents when I was in Washington, D.C. for family vacations. And I know that in high school we touched on it, but I will be completely honest with you, Jennifer. I don't think I've ever read through the Constitution. I know I've read through the Bill of Rights, but I don't think I've read through the Constitution. But Derek, thank you so much for bailing me out on this. Can't believe I'm saying that. But I have read the city charter and the ordinances, which is a lot of reading, and I do have the Constitution at home, so I'll start reading that now, Jennifer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John
I'd
Willis.
recommend the Federalist Papers, too.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, all right, we have one more thing from our mayor.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say how enjoyable it is for me to sit here and how unenjoyable it is for me to sit here without being able to be like, hold on, wait a minute. You're talking about my work here. But my question is this, and this can be for both the mayoral candidates as well as the judicial candidates as well. And I know we are strapped for time, but in 30 seconds or less, can you tell us, in whatever capacity you have served in, what you feel like your biggest accomplishment would have been, and how would that help you serve in the role that you're seeking to get?
30
Literally
seconds.
30 seconds.
30
Literally
seconds.
30 seconds. Starting right here, Chrissy, you're in at the table, we'll work all the way down. 30 seconds.
Thank you, Mayor Mahoney. I actually wrote those down just a little bit ago, and I did watch many Micro Machines people growing up, so you're going to hear it all right now. I was very proud of attending attending the Jackson Housing Commission meetings, and I was able to fire a lot of questions back at Arturo when he was at the city council meeting, and subsequently we now have new management over there. I don't know how they're doing, but I was very proud that I was able to stand up for that there. I also helped breaking up a dog fighting and puppy mill ring that was causing some issues over in Ward 2, I believe, and then I supported landlords.
I'm going to say I got recalled when I was on the city council. Weird thing to be proud of, but I was recalled over spearheading and supporting the non-discrimination ordinance. I think that shows that I am committed, passionate about improving this city, standing for the values that I believe we all share, and walking through hell and fire to be able to deliver on the things that we care about.
Time.
Start. I would like to say that one of my biggest accomplishments is being a part of interviewing our first youth council students. That was very rewarding, and they are our future. And that was an opportunity to really just put in their hearts and minds the importance of civic duty. And secondly, as city council, representing Ward 5, my volunteer-led initiative helping our disabled and elderly residents.
Next person. Clock is running.
We were the first organization to start a mobile drive-through food pantry when COVID hit. We distributed more than 105,000 pounds of food. We were first nonprofit to take our students, after-school students, to the Jackson County Fair to perform.
10 seconds.
And I recently helped two brothers and their dogs get off of the sidewalk at Kroger's. They were homeless for 3 years, sleeping on the sidewalk. They're now living in an apartment and happy.
Next person. Clock's running.
I haven't been elected, but I have certainly tried a few different times. I consider myself a citizen taxpayer advocate. Always have been, always will be. Citizens are our number one primary concern. and especially the plight, their financial plight. We should always consider that at all times. Thank you.
My greatest accomplishment is serving all of you. As I sit here today, I am your judge. And I'm not just any judge, I'm a mother in this community. I chose this community to raise my boys. 6 years from now, which is the judicial term, my greatest accomplishment will be lowering domestic violence in our community, breaking cycles, and protecting families. Thank you.
Clock running.
I'm a lawyer. I can't do anything in 30 seconds, man.
You just lost 10 seconds.
I'm sorry. Several years ago, a young man approached me and he said, Mr. Lyons, thank you so much for what you did for me. I'm in my second year at Michigan State. I'm on the dean's list, and I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't taken my case for nothing and won it. And in 6 years,
10 seconds.
We'll see where we both are. God bless.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Great job, great job. Listen, what an amazing night. Put your hands together for Jackson. Put your hands together for all these people coming out doing your homework tonight. Doing your homework. Your homework is what we wanted because we wanted you to get answers straight from the source. Straight from the source because we understand that elections have consequences. We're seeing us losing voting rights. We're losing privileges and things that we gained in the 60s because of our voting, because of our principles. Elections have consequences. We need to give a really big hand to this panel up here tonight, our mayoral candidates and our judicial candidates. Also want to applaud our moderators, Ms. Sean Graney and Jessica Houston. Amazing job. None of this would be possible without the names you see on our sign here. Juneteenth this year is presented by Consumers Energy, but we also have True, Dawn, Arrow Steel, Spring Arbor, City of Jackson, all of these wonderful sponsors that are making things happen. Tonight you had a chance to come here. We didn't just give them slough balls over the plate tonight. We want some tough questions because we want you to hear what they have to say, the way they can lead what we have coming up. I just want to remind you that on Saturday, at 2 o'clock, it's on and popping. It's on and popping. Saturday, 2 o'clock, Jackson Juneteenth, our celebration and resource fair. We've got all types of food. We got all types of children's games and activities in the kids zone, petting zoos, all types of stuff. We've got the most unbelievable music lineup that we've had since we've been doing this. We expect you to come out, eat good, have fun, dance a little bit. Dance a little bit, do what you do. But thank you so much tonight for coming out. Oh, treats. Whoa, listen, don't leave without taking, because
I thought those were for me.
If you don't take it, I have to take it home myself and eat it.
I thought those were my
But make sure everybody on your way out, I expect to see everybody with a treat in their hand. Pro DJs for the sound and mic system. Am I forgetting anybody else? We leave anybody else? Thank you, Pro DJs. They always do a phenomenal job for us. I can't hear. Because yeah, but we said that. Y'all didn't hear us? Oh, Levon, that's my sister too. Levon's Occasions did our decorating and our things up here. I'm really about to get in trouble. Levon's and Queets Streets over here is not a family thing, but it's kind of a family thing. But everybody, thanks so much for coming out. Listen, don't leave without a sweet in your hand. Get something in your hand when you leave there.